Uh-oh, we got another Nintendo lawsuit. Seems like we get a new one every week, but this one's really interesting. Nintendo of America versus Tropic Haze LLC. Sounds like a freaking dispensary in Southern California, you know, a little pot dispensary, but it's not. I was like, who the hell is Tropic Haze? I've never heard that name before. But it's actually YUZU, the Nintendo Switch emulator. Of course, Nintendo was going to go after these guys, I guess. I mean, they're very litigious. Sometimes you gotta question the nature of certain things, but other things, it's like as far as a business standpoint, I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So let's take a quick look through this. The preliminary statement is some pages long. I will upload this to my website, madlittlepixel.com, so you can have access to this full document if you want to take a look at it. It's 41 freaking pages, dude. We're not reading all of it. We're just gonna find the interesting parts here. But the preliminary statement does go on for a few pages, but they just explain who they are. They've sold over 139 million Switches, and the defendant, Tropic Haze, is an entity that owns, develops, and operates YUZU, a video game emulator for Nintendo Switch games. We know that, right? YUZU allows Nintendo Switch games, which Nintendo authorizes for play solely on Switch consoles, to be played on Windows, Linux, or Android systems. That means that people are able to play pirated Switch games on PC and Android, which would not otherwise be possible. Okay, so Nintendo, to protect their property rights and investment, as well as the investment of third parties, they designed the Switch and the games with sophisticated security features to deter this kind of thing from happening. But it happens regardless. You have that MiG Switch like cartridge. That company said they were going to send me one. They never did, but you know, whatever. But you know, there's this stuff happens, right? It happens. And Nintendo, they're very protective of this. So yeah, they state every Switch video game stored on a cartridge or on a console as a digital download is secured with multiple technological measures, including encryption that scrambles the audio-visual content in the game file to make it unreadable without the use of the cryptographic keys. So essentially, what they're saying is that these guys, the lead developer of YUZU, known online under the alias Bunny, I don't know how you say that, publicly acknowledged that most users pirate prod.keys in the games online. And YUZU's website provides instructions for its users telling them how to unlawfully hack their own Switch and how to make unauthorized copies of Switch games and unlawfully obtain prod.keys. Only because YUZU decrypts a Switch game file dynamically during operation can the game be played in YUZU. So this is the big part. In other words, without YUZU's decryption of Nintendo's encryption, unauthorized copies could not be played on PC or Android devices. With YUZU in hand, nothing stops the user from obtaining and playing unlawful copies of virtually any game. All right, let's go down, see what else is said here, because it just goes on and on. These guys are allowing the piracy of their games. They've provided ways to decrypt the encryption, so on and so forth. But what does Nintendo want out of this, right? YUZU circumvents their technological measures on its games, thus defendants development and distribution constitutes unlawful trafficking. And the confirmed use of the emulator by Bunny and other YUZU developers to decrypt and play Nintendo games constitutes unlawful circumvention. Nintendo's property rights it threatens irreparable injury and violates the anti-circumvention, anti-trafficking provisions of the DMCA, titling plaintiff to relief sought herein. They're looking for monetary compensation. This is kind of nuts, but you know, my feeling, and I've brought this up in the past. I've used YUZU. I've never downloaded it. I've never downloaded a Switch game. Nintendo, don't attack me. But these companies with these hard drives that I've looked at in the past, they sneak that stuff in there, and I've tried it, you know. But my stance has always been, if consoles and currently in its life cycle, like I'm gonna support it because I want to see it continue, you know. If everybody pirates the games, then games will stop being made, type of thing. You know, there's those thoughts in the past that, like, if the Dreamcast wasn't easily, you know, pirated as far as the games being copied, that maybe the Dreamcast would have lasted longer. Or maybe it was that the PS2 came out shortly thereafter and just kind of, it was what it was. Either way you want to look at it. But I'm just like, I'm not messing with that stuff. I have several Nintendo Switch consoles, tons of games. And at the end of the day, once system's out of its life cycle and you can no longer walk in a store, which is becoming rarer nowadays anyway, where you can no longer walk in a store and there's new games on the shelf or go online and buy new games, then yeah, it's time. I'll hack my system. I'll emulate if I want, that kind of thing. That's just my personal stance. I don't really give two craps if you decide like, hey, I'm not paying Nintendo a dime. There's people out there, I'm never paying Nintendo anything, but I'll download their games and play it. Whatever, man. Whatever makes you feel good, tickles that taint for you. I don't care. But yeah, they're looking for some monetary compensation here. Let me see. Infringing copies of the game that circulated online. Oh, wait. Oh, this is an interesting one. As to piracy, for instance, one recent major Nintendo video game, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, was unlawfully distributed a week and a half before its release by Nintendo. That I see that happen, and I do scratch my head on those kind of things. I'm like, yeah, scratch my ear too. I'm just like, how the hell does this happen? And like, that's kind of not cool. I get it. Like, yeah, Nintendo's going to be pissed. Their game's floating around a week before it comes out. People are already playing it on emulators or hacked Switches. Yes. If I was a business and my product was given out for free before I was like able to charge people for it, I would be pissed too. I get it. They say infringing copies of the game that circulated online were able to be played in YUZU, and those copies were successfully downloaded from pirate websites over 1 million times before the game was published. Before it was available for sale. That's crazy. I mean, it is. Let's just be honest, that's nuts. But okay, nature of the action. This is a civil action seeking equitable relief and damages, so money for unlawful circumvention and unlawful trafficking in circumvention technology, and for unlawful reproduction and distribution of protected works in violation of copyright, the jurisdiction, that kind of thing. This goes on and on, man. They go over Nintendo again, the defendant, on information belief decisions regarding development of YUZU, including new features, platforms to launch on, and games to provide are made by Bunny. Defendant is primarily responsible for causing the distribution of YUZU, including the official website yuzu-emu.org on GitHub and other third-party platforms. Defendant, remember the Steam Deck? Like one of their promos showed the YUZU icon? That was kind of funny. I'm sorry. It just, I remember that. So the background, we don't need to read the factual background. We know Nintendo made the NES, Super Nintendo, Super Mario, Tetris, Kirby. Since '83, Nintendo sold more than 5.4 billion games and more than 750 million hardware units globally. That's crazy. They've sold a lot. Then they're talking about their classic editions. I mean, who cares? Who cares? We know who you are. I think the court knows who you are, that you sell video games. Just say, we're Nintendo. We made Mario and we sell video games. We don't need the full history in a legal document, but I guess that's what you got to do, right? They go over a little more on how things are encrypted with title keys. Content keys shall be collectively referred to herein as title key. In other words, the key to unlock the game file is itself encrypted with another cryptographic key. So they just kind of explained that a little more and how these guys went about being able to, decrypt that stuff and allow people to play this way. That's pretty much all it's saying. But yeah, this is not like YUZU's been around for a little while, and I just thought like nothing was going to come of it. Oh, they're talking about Patreon as well? That the defendant maintains a Patreon page for the YUZU team, which solicits monthly donations. See, this is the thing. Like, if you're ripping off Nintendo in any which way, as long as you're not like making money out of it, like, I'm not saying it's like you won't get in trouble, but the second Nintendo sees like this motherfucker was getting $30,000 a month on Patreon, the second Nintendo sees that, they're like, that's our money and more, right? Man, maybe you'll get a cease and desist, but the second you're making money in the name of whatever you're doing that circumvents Nintendo's stuff, they going after you for money, dude. The free version's been downloaded over 1 million times of Yuzu on Google Play, and the paid version is downloaded over 10,000 times, earning the defendant an additional 50,000. They're like digging in, man. They find out all the monies. All the monies. But there you go. Very interesting stuff. We didn't even get halfway through this document in this video. Like I said, I'm going to put this on madlittlepixel.com so you could take a look. Oh, they got some Yuzu Pirates subreddit thread. Like Nintendo, they're going all in, man. They provide everything they need to. Hey, here's Zelda Tears of the Kingdom playing before it released. Wow. Tears of the Kingdom leaks. So dang, they pulling screenshots of tweets. These fan posts. Tears of the Kingdom leaks, so there are new screenshots floating around. I waited 4+ for these games. We're so close to release. I'm trying so hard not to see anything. It's a shame this regularly happens for big games. They picked a tweet that was like, oh, look at these people suffering out there. Like, there was tons of tweets. I remember when this happened, right? But yeah, they picked the one that they were like, no, I don't want to see this. This is not right. That's funny. But if you want to dig through, if you want to dig through this, read word for word, like I said, madlittlepixel.com. But thanks for watching. Bye.